And John, I have a question for you, actually. This isn't a hot seat or anything silly like that. I honestly have a question for you.
What is it, bud?
Why do you think the WWE is putting Khali in the Elimination Chamber as opposed to somebody that actually deserves it?
I think they want to create in their own mind intrigue. You've got Big Show and Khali in there. They'll probably do something together in that chamber match. And I feel like, SmackDown, maybe WWE doesn't have the same star power as a Raw, so they'd be like, oh, Khali, if we get him in there, I was going to say, oh, wow, what can this giant do in the chamber? How is he going to torture the other participants? But to me, yeah, I think that's very short-sighted thinking on the WWE's part. If I am correct in my analysis, Drew McIntyre could thrive in this type of matchup, and it breaks my heart that he's not even going to be on the card. It's really sad.
Yeah, and actually, Drew was one of the very few people that I had in mind that really do deserve the spot over Khali. You could argue for Drew, you could argue for DiBiase, you could even, honestly, you could even probably argue for a guy like Hunico or Justin Gabriel. The fact of the matter is, the great Khali comes back from a, 5, maybe not even 5, 4, 5, maybe 6, 7 month absence, shows up at the Rumble, doesn't get any kind of reaction whatsoever, and now all of a sudden he's in a world title match. It just makes no sense to me. It's even worse than the Big Show's return after 4 months and him getting handed a title shot because he threatened somebody.
I think what disappoints me, Ashton, to kind of follow up on your question, is just that, like with Raw, they did something to see who was going to come out last, which we'll get to, the six-pack challenge.
Right.
For SmackDown, you could have created intrigue either by duplicating that, finding out who's going to come sixth in your match, which I'm glad they didn't, because there needs to be some intrigue somewhere. But more significantly, why didn't you hold a battle royal or something to see who was going to be the sixth participant in the SmackDown chamber? Why did you just automatically come to the conclusion this is going to be our replacement? Have somebody actually earn the right, even if it was, can you imagine Drew McIntyre in his slump winning a battle royal to be the sixth participant in the chamber, the credibility that he would gain and the intrigue that it would cause for the chamber match? It'd be a double whammy.
Honestly, I love that idea, but it wouldn't even need to be a battle royal. How great would it be? And it would even give the SmackDown writers a little bit of a break if they would just use one episode of SmackDown to hold a mini tournament a la King of the Ring, but instead of having a King of the Ring title and a crown, you get that sixth spot in the freaking chamber. That would have been amazing. I would have marked.
Yeah, honestly, that is a very creative idea. I wish they would have done something like that. To me, and see, this is why I mentioned this on the past episode to TWitWoW, and that's why I was so happy for Raw on Monday, because I said, for these types of matches, there are so many creative avenues you can travel to really build that intrigue, to really build that suspense, to really build that intensity. And I feel like the past two chambers, WWE really hasn't done that because, you already have these participants pre-allotted, really no determination, no anything to undergo to really make your card. And just to give the great Khali that spot just really made me facepalm my ass off.
Right,
and you missed a great opportunity here.
Yeah, and tonight's episode of SmackDown is actually a really great example of how much that would have benefited them. That would have done two things. First of all, it would have allowed them to basically take the night off. You write this episode of SmackDown, it takes 20 minutes because all you need to do is set up the brackets for the tournament. You determine who's going to win. You tell whoever you need to tell who's going to win the title, or not the title, the spot. And then you can focus all of your further energy and work rate for the rest of the week on the next episode of SmackDown. Get ahead of schedule.
Oh, if only all of them had your mind.
If
then
only.
We wouldn't see the Khali chamber match.
Right. All right, we're kind of dwindling on this a little bit too much, so we're going to go ahead and move on